really the transition is the contact. Because like in college, like you touch a guy, it's called a foul. But like in the pros, you could be, all over a guy and they won't call a foul. So I consider myself as a pretty good defensive player.
The ABA was so unique at the time due to its emphasis on offense. The faster pace of the game meant more points on the board. Because of this, there weren't too many players, especially guards, who could lock down on defense. Some guys like Ted McClain, Buse and Mike Gale might come to mind, but someone who barely gets mentioned is Roland "Fatty" Taylor. Although he was only about 6 feet tall, he was pretty athletic. He had the lateral quickness to stay in front of anyone, and he was a hawk in the passing lanes. He attacked the glass like a much taller player, and while he wasn't the best shooter, you still had to respect his playmaking ability. After being one of the best players in LaSalle history, he was drafted in the 12th round in 1969, but he took his talents to the ABA. He became the best perimeter lockdown in league history, making 2 all-defensive teams and finishing as the ABA's all-time leader in steals. He was teammates with the rookie Dr. J, and he gave George Gervin his Iceman nickname. He was also able to play a season in the NBA before retiring in 1977. His career wasn't long, but he always found a way to be useful in any role, plus you never had to question his effort. This is PJ Hoops, and welcome to another episode of ABA Tales. Roland was born on March 13, 1946 in Washington, D.C. He was given the name Fatty by his godmother due to him being a large baby. He grew up in the East Capitol Projects, and he started out playing baseball, but when he realized that basketball was the most popular sport, he worked relentlessly on his game. He attended Spingarn High, who were known to turn out pro talent, with alums like John Tresvant, Dave Bing, and Elgin Baylor. The competition was so tight to make the team that most players would repeat a year of school and train just so they can play all 4 years, and that's what Roland did. By the time his senior year came around, the district changed the rules, so now he was ineligible. He decided to transfer to Fairmount Heights in Maryland since they hadn't enacted the rule yet, but since they had played even better than their state title team last year, people were wondering how that could happen. So for no real reason, Roland was one of the few guys that were kicked off the team. His college prospects were slim to none, especially without him playing as a senior, and the area around him was getting dangerous, as 2 of his friends were killed within a short time span. He saw an ad in the barbershop for Dodge City Community College in Kansas, and he wrote the coach about a look-and-see scholarship, as if he didn't make the team, he was sent home. When he got to Dodge City, he dominated, averaging 24 points as a sophomore and becoming a JUCO All-American. He had several letters from colleges all over the country after this, but when LaSalle recruited him, he learned that his friend Bernie Williams was there, and he was sold. LaSalle was still being coached by the notorious Jim Harding at the time. His my way or the highway style of coaching forced Roland into a restricted role. He told him that he didn't bring him here to shoot, and the only shot he was allowed to take was an uncontested layup. He would even get yelled at for shooting wide open jump shots in practice, but since he wasn't allowed to shoot that much, he focused more on his defense, and he was pretty good, until he faced Calvin Murphy. Even his own teammates were skeptical of his ability to guard him full court with no help. Roland would never forget this game, saying this, "Niagara got the tap. I stood at the top of the key just waiting for Murphy to bring it on. Let me tell you, Murphy went by me so fast that it's the only time in my life I ever got scared on the basketball court. He had put the ball through the rim before I could even turn around. I kid you not, Murphy took all the shots for Niagara, so I spent the entire game bouncing off of picks. By the end of the night, Calvin had 52 points. The Explorers were still a good team nonetheless, as they had one of the best defenses in the country. They finished the regular season 16-7, but they were 7-0 in the Mid-Atlantic Conference. They had a great conference tournament, beating American and Temple to make the big dance. Roland averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, and they faced a tough first-round matchup in Columbia. He had a relatively quiet game with 2 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists, but the Lions easily beat them. Roland got into an argument with Coach Harding during the summer, and he was essentially kicked off the team, but the scholarship was still in place. While he was at Dave Bing's basketball camp in the Poconos, he got the news that Coach Harding was fired. Once team legend Tom Gola took over, he was extremely pumped to play. The Explorers were more of an offensive team this year, but Roland would continue to be a defensive menace. He would show a lack of discipline at times, as he led the team in personal fouls. But LaSalle had their best season in school history, finishing 23-1, but due to Jim's antics last summer, they were ineligible for the tournament. Roland averaged 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. He had graduated from LaSalle with a bachelor's in sociology, but he was planning to be a social worker back in DC. But that all changed when he got drafted by the Sixers in the 12th round. He was cut during training camp, but he went to a tryout for the ABA's Washington Caps, coached by Al Bianchi. He impressed so much with his defense that Al had no choice but to keep him. Roland signed a contract paying him $15,000 a year. plus a $2,000 bonus for making the team. The Caps had a lot of solid guards like Warren Jabali, Larry Brown, and Mike Barrett, so Roland was glued to the bench early on. When he did get time, he was solid, dropping 19 points and 11 rebounds against the Stars, 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists against Carolina, and 22 points on 70% shooting against the Stars again. Warren and Rick Barry were the top guys, but they were both struggling with injuries. Ira Harge was a decent anchor down low, while Larry Brown led the league in assists. The Caps finished 44-40, just enough for the playoffs, as Roland averaged 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. The Caps faced Spencer Haywood and the Rockets in the semifinals, and his minutes were sporadic, but his best performance was in Game 2 with 4 points and 9 rebounds. But Washington was defeated in 7 games. The Caps became the Virginia Squires in 1970, and they added Doug Moe, Jim Eakins, Neil Johnson, and Charlie Scott. Roland was still a bench player this year, but he was showing a jack-of-all-trades style of play, with 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists on Carolina, and 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists on Utah. Charlie was the engine that made this team go, as he had the highest scoring offense in the league. They finished with 55 wins, the most in the Eastern Division. Roland averaged 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists, and they faced the Nets in the semifinals. He wasn't used that much, but the Squires got past him in 6. The Cardinals were next, and Virginia had gotten out to a 2-1 series lead, but Kentucky was stormed back, winning 3 straight to take the series. The Squires signed Julius Erving in the summer of 1971. He was mostly known as a rebounder during his time at UMass, but once he stepped on the court, he was doing things that nobody had ever seen before. Roland was finally a starter heading into his 3rd season, and his college buddy Bernie Williams was now his teammate. With his bigger role, Roland's strengths were on full display, as he put up 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals against Kentucky, and 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 steals against Pittsburgh. He showed off his underrated playmaking as well, dropping double-digit assists twice. The most surprising part of his game was his work on the glass, as even though he was only 6 feet, he grabbed double-digit rebounds in 6 games. He was 14th in total assists, but he was 6th in personal fouls. Dr. J was way better than advertised, and Charlie Scott led the league in scoring with 35 points a game. The Squires finished 45-39, but Charlie abandoned the team right before the playoffs. Roland averaged 9 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, and he finally got decent minutes in the playoffs. In the semifinals against the Floridians, he dropped 15, 6, and 6 in Game 1, and 22, 4, and 5 in Game 3 of an easy sweep. The New York Nets met them in the division finals, but Roland's numbers would drop, and Virginia lost Game 7 at home. Roland had his biggest role in 1972, ironically the first year that steals were counted. He only dropped 4 points against Memphis, but he also had 5 rebounds, 11 assists, and 6 steals. He had a career-high 30 points against Utah, along with 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 5 steals. He was one of the more underrated role players in the league, finishing 10th in assists and leading the league in steals. These accomplishments landed him on the first team all-defense. The addition of George Gervin mid-season gave the Squires another athletic wing to pair with Dr. J. Roland quickly formed a friendship with George, nicknaming him Iceberg Slim for his smooth game. Speaking of the Doc, he was the runner-up for MVP as a sophomore, essentially carrying the Squires to a 42-42 record. Roland's career season saw him average 10 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. They played Kentucky in the semifinals, as he put up 14, 6, and 5 in the Game 1 loss. However, the Squires didn't have a big man that could contain Artis Gilmore, and they were easily beaten in 5 games. Dr. J was traded to the Nets in the offseason, and the Squires' title hopes vanished. George was still on the team, for now, as Cincy Powell and Larry Miller were brought in. Roland still had his role, and he was producing, dropping 8 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, and a career-high 8 steals against New York. He stole the ball at least 3 times in 13 more games, finishing 2nd in steals and 5th in assists. He made the first team all-defense again, but by season's end, George and promising rookie Sven Nader were both gone. George Carter was now the main guy, as Virginia stumbled to a 28-56 record. Roland averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. The Squires snuck into the playoffs, ironically facing Dr. J and the Nets. Roland had decent numbers in games 2 and 3, but he shot below 30% for the series, as Virginia was easily beaten in 5 games. With the Squires looking to rebuild, Roland was traded to the Nuggets for Daryl Elston and a first-round pick. The Nuggets had a lot of great talent, with Ralph Simpson, Matt Calvin, Bobby Jones, and Mike Green. Roland was a great defender off the bench, recording 13 steals in the first 4 games. He dropped 12 points, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, and 6 steals against Kentucky, followed by a season-high 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists on the Colonels again. He was solid in all categories, ranking 15th in assists, 3rd in steals, and 19th in defensive rating. The Larry Brown coached Nuggets had the best offense in the league, sending 3 guys to the All-Star game, while Bobby led the league in field goal percentage as a rookie. They finished with a 65-19 record, which was the best in the entire league. Roland averaged 8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals as the Nuggets faced the Stars in the semifinal. His scoring was inconsistent, but he averaged 3 steals in the 6-game series win. The Pacers were a much tougher matchup in the division finals, and while Denver went down in 7, Roland was essentially a non-factor. He would be back to where it all started in 1975, returning to the Squires in exchange for Chuck Williams. The ABA was on life support, and so was Virginia. Roland was one of the few consistent players on this team, along with Tiki Burton, Mel Bennett, and Mike Jackson. Roland dropped 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 7 steals on the Nets, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, and 6 steals on the Spurs, and a career-high 15 assists on Denver. He had 5 games with double-digit assists, and at least 5 steals in 9 games. Virginia was in shambles all year, as 5 different guys coached them, and they finished 15-68. Roland averaged 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. After the merger, Roland was traded to the Denver Nuggets for a second-round pick, and he was finally in the NBA. He was initially the 3rd point guard behind Jim Price and Matt Calvin, but he was still effective in his limited role. He dropped 10 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals against the Bullets, and 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 steals against the Bucks. He finished the season 16th in defensive rating, so he carried over some of his skills to the NBA. David Thompson and Danny Issel led this team to 50 wins, as Roland averaged 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. He didn't receive any time in the postseason as the Nuggets lost to the Trailblazers in the semifinals. Roland was waived before the start of the 1977 season, as he would retire at the age of 30. He finished his career as the ABA's all-time leader in steals, while also ranking 11th in assists. He opened multiple sports bars and nightclubs after retirement, and also started a basketball camp for at-risk youth, also mentoring them and guiding them towards higher education. For much of the 2000s, Roland was battling with cancer, and he would pass away on December 7, 2017 at the age of 71. Fatty Taylor had a few holes in his game, but he played to his strengths so well that it was hard to keep him off the floor. In the league that was built around scoring, his elite perimeter defense and ball hooking skills made life hell for opposing guards. Despite being only 6 feet, he attacked the glass like a center, so it wasn't uncommon for him to have double-digit rebounds in a game. He could also handle the ball and set the table for his teammates. He did all the little things that were necessary to win, and players like that are valuable to any team. He was never a star in the ABA, but he was without a doubt the best perimeter defender the league had ever seen. Thank you guys, I really appreciate y'all for the support. Shout out to Fatty Taylor. I gotten a couple requests. The nicknames really draw me because it's like, why are you calling this guy Fatty? Oh, that's why. Oh, like Goo Kennedy, the Goo Sligan, like crazy names like that. I think I saw some of his film when I was doing the Howard Porter video and the Larry Cannon video, and a very good defensive guard, a very good ball hawk, someone who just on his matchup 99% of the time, like he's guarding you 94 feet coming up the floor, like he's down in the paint with the big men trying to grab a rebound. You're never going to see a point guard do that ever, unless he's like Russell Westbrook. It's always good to have guys like that will sacrifice their personal stats for the betterment of the team. Like they'll focus on playing good defense and setting guys up. It's not always the stars of the ABA that need recognition. The role guys need recognition too. So shout out to Fatty Taylor, RIP to you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much for the support. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Turn my post notifications on if you haven't already. But thank you. Please be safe. I'm out. Peace.